Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I am super excited to be doing a product review. To start off, I am not sponsored by this company in any way, so all of these opinions are my own. I've not been paid to say anything, and I have not been sent any products. What I'm talking about today are all products that I have purchased, so I'm speaking just from my own experience, and hopefully this can help you out. Okay, so what are we going to be talking about today? Today we are going to be talking about the LumenIZE version of Arcadia's UVB and Jungle Dawn lighting systems. I don't know if you noticed, but this tank right up here behind me is rather dark. And we're going to be changing that today because even though I do have a LumenIZE on this, the light fixture itself ended up giving me some problems, so we're going to go ahead and replace that. I'm going to end up messing around with a different bulb and stuff, but this is kind of perfect timing because I have the shade dweller on here. It's a little small and I kind of want to change the bulb that's in there, and with the shade dwellers they only really handle the small UVBs, whereas the larger version, which is what I got, can handle a couple different percentages of UVB bulbs. So as much as it kind of sucks that this is dark and it looks really strange, and sucks that the equipment's kind of not working super well, it's kind of a blessing in disguise because I get to go ahead and replace this fixture. Today we will, as I said, go into this product as a whole, and I'll give you my kind of unfiltered thoughts. Obviously I do have a LumenIZE on every single one of the tanks behind me, so while I definitely would say I'm a fan, there definitely are some cons to these lighting systems, so if you're thinking about changing, feel free to stick around and I'll give you the big pros and some of the not so great cons that you might want to consider if you're considering switching to the LumenIZE lighting system. So let's talk about why you might be wanting to switch to the LumenIZE lighting system or just a brand new lighting system as a whole. For one, maybe you just found out about UVB for reptiles, which is considered one of the essential husbandry things that us as reptile keepers need to consider and keep in mind. If so, LumenIZE or Arcadia as a whole is one of the brands that I really recommend. So props to you for looking into a good brand. One thing though to state, if you're looking for UVB, my one main recommendation is to go ahead and go with the tube UVB, which do tend to be a little bit more expensive, but they do work a lot better than the coil UVB that you might see also sold at pet stores. So regardless of the brand that you pick, because Zoo Med has some, I think Exoterra has some, as well as Arcadia, just make sure you're going with that tube UVB bulb. Your reptiles will thank you. A second reason why you might be looking to go ahead and change your lighting system is maybe you're looking to upgrade to something that's a little bit more user-friendly and a little bit more better for time management. That was my reason, which is what we went over in the last video, talking about why I went ahead and switched to the LumenIZE lighting system. This lighting system, which I'll demonstrate later, does have a iPhone or phone component to it, so where you can control these lights off right from your phone, which is really awesome. For me, I knew I wanted something that could connect everybody together and keep it super kind of low maintenance and easy to keep track of everything that is going on, so that is why for me I went ahead with this. I'm sure there are other companies out there that do integrate Bluetooth. I think Zoo Med's coming out with something like that. Because I have used the Zoo Med UVB LED light bar as well in the past too, and I do really like that, and I think they are coming out with something that has Bluetooth capabilities as well. So there are different brands offering a bunch of different things, but if you're looking for ways of convenience, you might be looking to switch. The third reason, which is a little less common, is maybe your equipment is just getting old and you're looking to go ahead and replace some of those old fixtures. I will say if you are looking to go ahead and replace just a regular Arcadia fixture, you might want to go ahead and stick with their original brand line. But if you're looking to just upgrade as a whole, maybe switching to LumenIZE might just be a really great option for you. Okay, and then one last thing before we go ahead and get into the unboxing segment of the video is I do want to go ahead and throw out a little reminder for all of us who are keeping reptiles with UVB bulbs. You do want to go ahead and make sure that you're either A, replacing your bulb every 6 to 12 months, depending on the manufacturer's recommendation, or if you want to be super specific, go ahead and get yourself a UVB reader. These readers, I will be upfront and honest, are expensive, but if you have a lot of bulbs like me and you don't want to be continuously just throwing bulbs out and you want to see actually where that bulb is in terms of UVB output, get one of these readers. You hold them up underneath the lights, they go ahead and give you a reading, and that can tell you if that bulb is still functioning with the amount of UVB output that your animal requires. With that said, let's go ahead and get to the unboxing of this giant UVB light. Okay, so I went ahead and I got this bulb from Reptile Basics, which is an online company that sells the LumenIZE. I'll be honest, when I first bought this product from that website, I low-key thought the website was a little sketchy, but it's not. They do ship. I'm not implying that the website is sketchy. I had heard in the UK that these were available, and then magically all of a sudden they were available in the United States, which is great. See, watch me opening the box. Oh, I think my neighbor's dog is upset upstairs. That's okay, he's a good boy. Okay. So, this company also really tends to box up the products really well, which I really like. So here is what the product looks like. So like I said, I did go ahead and get the bigger. A little bend in the box, but that's okay. I did get the bigger one than the Shade Dweller, so went ahead and got the 24-inch, 24-watt bulb. It's very shiny. So then here is what the fixture looks like. Very pretty. Here is all of the product information. A little bit of glare on my camera there. Let's see if I can get it to focus a little bit better. There we go. It's a little bit better. There we go. So then when you go ahead and buy the LumenIZE kit, they do send you, let me make sure I take this out gently because I don't want to break it. They do go ahead and send you the bulb as well. So I got the 14%, mostly because my day gecko tank has the exact same kit on it, and it has a step down from percentage of UVB. But when I did my solar meter test, the UVB range is not quite where I want it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually swap bulbs. I'm going to take the one out of the day gecko tank. I'm going to pop this one in because anytime you have UVB going over mesh of any kind, it does tend to cut out the amount of UVB that your animals are exposed to. So this way I can make sure the animals are getting the appropriate amount of UVB, even if that means that the bulb itself, it says dragon, you know, like it would be for bearded dragons who have higher levels. I just have to adjust for the animals that I have. So here is the full bulb. And then again, here is the full product. And then of course they come with mounting strips, and they do come with an original just single power cord. Mine's going to be connected to other lights, but those connecting cords are sold separately. So if you want to connect an LED in a Jungle Dawn, or two LEDs or two UVBs together, you do have to buy the appropriate cables, which I do have some extras, so I'll show you what those look like. So here are the adapter cables that you can purchase for the Arcadia LumenIZE system. So what was before just once a single cable to connect to a UVB to an LED or a UVB to a UVB, they now have different ones for what you're looking to do. So the Pro T5 is to do a UVB to a UVB, the LED bar is a LED to an LED, and a dual is a UVB to an LED. Now for me, when I was setting up my system, I did an oopsie and I didn't understand that you can't just go a dual to a UVB back to a dual. Like, I messed that up. So I have like a ton of these extra, which I don't actually need, which is fine. I'm gonna keep them. But they do have their own individual mechanisms on them, which tell you which side to plug them into. So for example, on the actual device, you will see there's a little piece right here. And if you go ahead and pull that piece off, it will have its own unique, see if I can get it to focus, there you go. It will have its own unique portion or piece that you will plug into the adapter. So let's talk a little bit more about this fixture itself. So these fixtures pride themselves on a couple things. One of them being the fact that they are waterproof. So you'll see with these components right here, when you go to replace your bulb, you will take out this piece. It's a whole new way of attaching your bulbs to the fixtures. So basically you remove these pieces, you go ahead and insert your UVB bulb into here, and then you go ahead and you snap them back in this portion, this piece. It's supposed to make taking the bulb out and replacing them a lot easier, which normally it generally is. For me, it just took me a minute to get this piece out of here. I don't know how you guys are, but when I'm dealing with lights, I tend to be more gingerly with them because I don't want to like break a piece. But you are supposed to take this out, so don't worry about that. You are supposed to take that out. But it does make the bulbs waterproof. So it's just this very strong material that helps keep those connection points free from water. Now with that said, the company does still recommend that you don't have these around like sprayers or anything, just because it is an electronic piece. But you do just want to be careful about that. But they do tend to, with this piece, make the bulbs and the fixtures themselves a little bit more hardy. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the bulbs themselves. The really good thing about the LumenIZE system is that the bulbs that they use are the exact same bulbs that they used before. So if you do have a bunch of bulbs, they're still working really well, but you do want to transition to LumenIZE, you totally can. So you can just transfer them over to the new fixtures. They might still send you lights if you get the kits, but hey, then you have an extra light, you can store it away, and it's good to use whenever you're ready. For me personally, I don't like touching bulbs with my hands because our fingers have oil, dust, things on them, and when these bulbs are lighting, they do get warm, and I believe that it can potentially make the bulbs not work as well or last as long. So each light will tell you what it is, kind of what the percentage is and stuff on it, and then when you go to put on this piece, you just simply insert the light. There we go. Nice and clicked in. Let me see if I can get this to focus a little bit better. Nice and clicked in. So then I'll just go ahead and take the other piece off of the light. I'm going to set this bulb down gently so that it doesn't roll and break. Then you just take out this other piece. Looks like this. And the bulb, the fixture just looks like this with the pieces open. And then obviously when you go to put this piece on, you want to make sure that you're putting it on facing the same direction. So like this piece goes like this. You get this on there. Here we go. Nice little click. And then this piece goes on there. So this is your bulb ready to be inserted into your fixture. Okay, so then once you're ready, you just line it up and click it in. If for some reason it's too long or it just doesn't look like it's fitting right, take this out and readjust how this piece is fitting onto the bulb. Have some force with it, but you still want to be gentle because you don't want to damage any of the components of the light itself. Then you just take this piece and click it on. And this bulb is properly installed. Okay, then the last thing about these fixtures, which does tie into their Bluetooth capabilities, will be this bar right here. This holds a kind of computer component to the light. I believe it's battery powered. I've never had to change them yet, so I don't know how that works. But this kind of keeps track of time for the Bluetooth aspect of the bulb. It can keep track of time so it knows when it's supposed to be kicking on and what time it is so that it can ramp itself up, which is the main focus of the UVB or the LumenIZE system. How long it's supposed to stay at that time and how long it is kicked off. The good thing is that if you were to have a power outage for whatever reason, these will still be working, which does not mean the bulb is working. It means that it's maintaining its internal time so that it knows, hey, I'm supposed to be kicking on right now. I don't have any power to do it. But I'm supposed to be on. Okay, now I'm supposed to be off. So you don't have to go through and necessarily reset every single lighting system device when you get power back on. So that is a really cool component. I have not had to change these yet, and I fear the day that I do because we're going to eventually talk about one of the negatives, and we'll talk about the app first. It has some pros and cons, but there is another aspect to these lights, which is a pretty big con for me. Okay, so let's talk about the LumenIZE app. So a lot of people have had problems with the app, and I can say that I have been pretty successful with the app so far. If this footage doesn't look good, I'll definitely re-record it with just screen capturing, but I think I can get it to work. So this is what the app looks like, and you will see that all of my bulbs are loaded into the app, and they each have their own unique name to them, and they each have their own unique code underneath. I do not set the code underneath, but you can go ahead and set your own name for whichever bulb you're looking to customize. So as you can tell, I have a lot. Let's go to, who should we look at? Dig Echo UVB, because that's the one that I might be changing. So it'll say that it's connecting. Once it does, it will bring up this, as I'm clicking the wrong one, click on this. It'll bring up this menu. This menu will tell you anything that you need to know about your bulb. I want to look at that one. Okay, cool. I guess we'll look at Emmett's. Okay, so this will tell you anything that you need to know about this bulb. For example, I have it into Am I really having app problems doing this? That's freaking nuts. Alrighty, so I went ahead and grabbed some footage from my phone to show you the app, When you go ahead and get your light plugged in, you'll want to hit the scan button. Once you do that, the new light should pop up. Or if you have multiple lights, you can hit the full power test button next to whichever light you're wondering about, and it will go ahead and flash the light for you so you know which one you're dealing with. Hold down on that name of the light and you'll go ahead and be able to change it, which is what I'm demonstrating here. And once you do that and you have the name of the bulb set in there, you can lock this light if you so choose. It'll let you make a password. I don't have any passwords on my lights, so I can't really show you that, but that will kind of help with, keeping everything together. The hardest thing for me to figure out what to do with the app was getting the settings correct. The company did make a couple new videos regarding this, so I will put them in my description to help you guys out because it can be a little bit confusing. I find once you found a setting that works for you and for your animals, as long as you hit copy device and paste it into whatever new device, it'll keep everything on a super clean schedule, which you can see here are some of my schedules, and I pretty much have that for almost every single one of my lights, with the exception of my crepuscular animals. I do give them a little bit more dusk time, a little more dawn, so that they have those photo periods to play with a little bit. So I have found that people really don't like this app, and I think it is kind of demonstrated in my video that sometimes the app just doesn't work, or there tends to be a lot of glitches that just end up goofing up how the lighting system works, which when it is a little bit essential to how you use the light, or is one of the big pros of purchasing this, if the app itself is not easy to use and does end up having some glitches, it does make the product less than desirable overall. I know that other people have had other types of issues. I think the only thing else I would say that's a negative about the app is there is like a My Animal record tab, and I personally find it kind of useless. So I think that could be like dialed in a little bit more too. Okay, so now we're going to go into some of the cons for this product, because I think that although Arcadia is an amazing company and I highly respect them and what they're doing for the reptile industry, I don't think that any product is without fault. So I do want to address some of the things that I really think could be improved, or just things that you should know before purchasing this product. The first thing that drove me crazy when I got all of these was they changed the clips that they use to fasten the fixtures to be attached to something. The old clips were metal, these ones are plastic, and if you don't have to like adhere a fixture to a tank, it's not a problem. If they're just on top, like that's fine, you don't have to worry about this. But if you're trying to install them into a system, like into a tank or something, I don't like these clips. I don't like them at all. They are really annoying because you install them in with the itty bitty teeny tiny little screws, which I'll get some footage of if I can't show you with this bag. And then, which I ended up just going to the store and getting longer screws because these ones are way too small. And then you go to attach the fixtures and you have to like Hulk power snap these things onto these plastic parts, which, like I said before, when I deal with lighting systems, I like to be a little more gingerly because I worry about breaking them, and these products are not cheap by any means. They're at least $100 for, I think, just the shade dwellers. I think this one was like 140. I'll put the exact amount for what I paid for the 24-inch one. So let me tell you, when I'm told, or at least when it's expected that I'm going to jam these things into these plastic pieces, I'm not exactly happy about it because it makes me nervous. And granted, they hold up great. They have not come off of their plastic pieces. Sometimes though the screw will go all the way through, and that's also annoying because then you have to take the whole thing apart. But I don't like that these plastic pieces are the new fixtures. I don't like them. I think that they could design something that holds really well and that you're able to attach and attach and detach more easily. And I think it's a simple fix. And I don't know if the metal ones were better. I didn't use any of the metal ones because I didn't have tanks that I had to fix the fixtures to anything, so feel free to let me know in the comments if the metal ones were just as crazy, but these plastic pieces are not it. Not it. Another thing that I find to be a con of the LumenIZE, which is just a con occasionally, it's certainly not always, would be the whole coming on slow and ramping themselves up. 9 times out of 10, these lights work beautifully. They do as they're supposed to. Come on, you know, I have them come on at 8, ramp all the way up till 12, stay on from 12 to 5, ramp all the way off by, I don't know, 7:30. Whatever time I have set, I don't remember. They work great. With the exception of randomly sometimes they will just be at full blast, and not like a little bit before the period where they're supposed to be full brightness. I mean just at like 9:30 at night, one of them will just randomly decide it wants to be on full power, especially for my nocturnal species. They don't like that. I've never had it happen like super late at night, like 3 in the morning or something. So luckily I can go ahead and kind of reset the bulb and it'll power itself right off. The way that you fix this, or at least that I found that you fix this, is if you just go on the app and you just click on the bulb that is malfunctioning. If you just click it and load it, it'll instantly remember what it's supposed to be doing and power itself off, which is fantastic. I don't know why it sometimes decides it wants to be the sun shining into my reptile's eyes at 9:30 at night. I don't know, but it does do that. They have done that a couple of times. And even still, the video demos for how to properly use these products do say that you need to periodically use the scan button to scan for all of your lights to make sure that they're all connected into the app appropriately. And then you should, I believe, see, now I have to check because I'm not sure, but you do need to full power test your lights as well. That way it does let the computer kind of figure out, this is my bulb, this is what's going on, and this is the time and everything, which I would love to say I'm a perfect person and I test them exactly when they're needed to be tested, but it would be a little bit irresponsible of me to say that I do that all the time. Which, like, let's just do a test. Boop. And let's do the Crested Gecko LED. Boop. And those are full power tests to check them. But yeah, I don't appreciate that sometimes they do just glitch out, which, like I said, it's a type of product using technology. Technology is gonna have its weird moments. It's just sometimes I have seen it and I'm like, what? Why are you on? You should be off. It's 10:30. Go to sleep. Another thing, and it is very minor, I talked about it before, is I wish that they hadn't changed the connection ports to each of the lights. I understand why they did it, to better utilize each system, to be able to connect them, to power them a little bit differently. But I can say it was really, really helpful before when A, they would send you the cords with the light, and B, you could go ahead and connect up a system however you wanted it to be. I find that just was more helpful in the setups that I used to have. Thankfully with these, I've all managed to work it out to where it works out pretty well. But I do think that was a change that's just a little interesting. I know some people were upset about it, having to buy the adapters, but also there is a benefit to like not necessarily producing equipment that people might just discard. They only have one bulb, like they probably don't need a connector. So then you can buy approximately what you need, unless you're me and you pick the wrong thing, which is really fun. Speaking of the adapters though, I will say the only other con that I have about the adapters themselves, I wish that these things were longer. They need to be longer. It would be so much easier to have connected all of these things, which by the way are stacked, so they're not exactly far from each other, if the cords were longer. I don't know how that would affect their, efficiency or whatever. I'm not sure. I'm not an electrician. I don't know. I just know that when I was designing these systems and getting everything to plug in, it was a little bit of a pain because it would be like, well, the cord doesn't reach, which is annoying. Especially since whenever we talk about the dubia cages, I have some cons for them too, with one of them being that they're really short in terms of one tank to another. These things are really short and close together, and these cords were sometimes still very small. So that's a con for me. And then probably the last con, which is really minor, is on some of the LEDs specifically, they have a twist in that can be used to, again, make it more waterproof. And I found when you plug in the adapters, they have the twisters too. Whenever I go to twist them in, sometimes it can be a little hit or miss if they're twisting in and connecting and sealing appropriately. I've tried it with a couple different cords. I've tried giving it to other people to see if I'm just weak or something. And sometimes those seals just haven't sealed up super well for me. So sometimes I end up just plugging them in and just barely tightening them, if that, because they just don't tighten all the way down. So those are just a couple things that I found for the LumenIZE that are interesting, at least to me. So if that's something that you don't like or something that you think would change how you view the product, I just want you to know them right up front. Like I said, I'm not sponsored by this product. I'm not paid to say good things. I'm not paid by any other company to say something bad. I just want you to know what it's like to use the LumenIZE lights, because I know when I was looking to find out more about them, there was information about them, but it was kind of just these products are the best things ever. And they are. They're amazing, and I can't believe how far we've come in the reptile industry. I'm so proud of all of us. But there are cons with everything that you buy. Enough of the negative Nellies. Let's talk about why you should look at investing into getting LumenIZE. Because even though I just said a bunch of things that are negative or cons of the products, I think the pros far outweigh the cons. These lights have been revolutionary for my animals, with especially speaking on the crepuscular and nocturnal animals. I've seen big changes in the way those animals behave and the way they utilize their tanks, because one thing that's different, and the fundamental thing of the LumenIZE, is that you can set those individual times so that those bulbs are kicking on at a lower percentage, slowly ramping themselves up to full or whatever you set it to, staying on for a period of time, and then slowly waning themselves off. And this is amazing for our reptiles, because the wild is not just light, darkness, light. That's very jarring, especially for, like I said, those nocturnal species. I have seen that my animals enjoy being out in their cage, and they tend to have a more natural wake and sleep cycle because they know when to expect, hey, the light is slowly starting to come on, or hey, that light is slowly starting to power itself off. They're able to also give their eyes times to adjust, because I have seen in the tanks that just flip on, flip off, the animals look stunned a little bit, because immediately, or they were in the dark for the morning, and now bam, they're into full bright lights. Or they were in full bright lights, and now bam, it's dark. So they're like, whoa, it goes from being a bright light to dark. It's they get all out of whack for a little bit. I haven't seen anything crazy between the original Jungle Dawns and the LumenIZE Jungle Dawns. I've seen videos where plants will kind of open up differently. I personally haven't really seen too much in terms of that, but I don't sit here and just time-lapse my plants, so I'm sure the plants have the exact same kind of vibe as the animals, where they're okay, cool, we're starting to get our light, and then it's full light, and it's woo, and then powering off, so the plants have time to adjust as well, which is good. I think that just overall that this chance to really dial in also how much light we are providing for each of our species is really, really important, and it does allow them to have that differing amounts of light and differing lengths of light. And you can also therefore go ahead and adjust it for your seasons as well. So summertime you might have a little longer light period, whereas in the wintertime you can go ahead and shorten that up if you so choose. So that is pretty cool. Another pro that I have found is just the quality of the fixtures themselves, with the exception of this one behind me that is just weird for some reason, which, like I said, ended up being a pro because I was able to upgrade a little bit. I haven't really had any problems with the fixtures breaking or falling apart or any part of them being broken or unusable in any way. Same thing goes for the adapter cords. All of them have maintained good power between all of the tanks. The actual power cord itself, I've never had to change or replace or do anything like that. So I think the quality of these products are really, really well made, and that makes me happy because you are spending a good amount for them, but I feel like the amount that you spend is definitely worth the quality that you're getting for these lights. And then lastly is, again, looking at our animals' welfare. I think that especially for the UVB, these lights are, again, incredibly well made, and they really do hold up over time. I've yet to really have to replace any of my Arcadia UVB bulbs. Like I said, I do have the reader, so I do go ahead and track what those bulbs percentages are doing. And the only one that's off is the giant day gecko one, so I think if I just switch it out with this new bulb, they'll just get that higher UVB and be all as well and all as dandy. For all the other ones though, they're sitting exactly at the level that I want them, and I've had these setups for a year now. So I tested them at a year and they're all still going really well, which is just a testament to the quality that these bulbs are putting out. With that said, even though my reader is still reading them well, I do and I will still go ahead and change the bulbs. I might keep them as opposed to throwing them away because I might run into species that don't need as high of a UVB amount. Crested geckos, for example, would be one where I don't need that full strength power. So just because it's not putting out as much, you can still go ahead and save them and keep them. But your reader could also be off too. So I don't ever fully just trust the reader. I always just do try to replace those bulbs just to make sure that I'm getting, the most, the animals are getting the most. But if they're putting out good percentages and it's been 8 months, I mean, I think you're good to push it to the full 12, but that's just a testament to how well these bulbs are made. Even though I haven't necessarily seen the plants spring to life with the LumenIZE version of the Jungle Dawn, I will go ahead and throw out a little kudos to the Jungle Dawns. I think that which is the LEDs, I think that their LED lights are fantastic. I have seen a big explosion in growth since switching to Arcadia's LED lights and their grow light setups. But once again, there are so many different products that do sell LEDs as well. So if you are interested in just implementing some kind of LED, I'm not going to say that Arcadia is like the absolute only way to go, but I have seen a lot of really good success with my plants in terms of them really taking well to adding the Jungle Dawn to my setups. Alrighty, so that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover regarding the LumenIZE UVB and LED lighting systems. I highly recommend this lighting system. It has worked great for me and my animals, with there only being a couple minor cons here and there. If you are interested in changing or upgrading your animal's lighting systems, I highly recommend giving the LumenIZE lighting a try. Just beware that, like I said, it is a little bit on the expensive side, but overall, I think it is very, very worth it, and I think that your animals will thank you for it. As of behind me, I went ahead and got my lighting changed, so now my fire skinks have the appropriate UVB, as well as their tank is now brighter, and they can enjoy going back to their regularly scheduled programming, which is fun. I'm surprised none of them have run up to say hello. But I do, like I said, highly recommend this lighting system, and if you go ahead and give it a chance, let me know what you think in the comments below. With that said, I will see you all in the next one. Thank you so much for checking out this video, and